Hey, Brakathay Hawa, Brakathay Hawa Shai, Brakathay Hawa, Brakathay Hawa Shai, Brakathay Hawa, Brakathay Hawa Shai. Okay, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. On your brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And honor your brothers that be pushing this truth throughout the four corners of the earth. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. So today I wanted to touch on a topic that, maybe some of the newcomers or brothers that just come into the faith, or just general knowledge about a topic that the Most High put forth within the scripture and order. Okay, and when you find out about the law, there's always a good reason why the Most High set it up to where certain things is done. Okay, to where certain things is put into play. Okay, so with this one, we're going to be touching on the thing of circumcision. Now, obviously, because this society uplifts the woman, this is written with reference to these freaky deaky women, man. Okay, because these women are whores, so they contract all kind of diseases and that, and ultimately, it's you got this article here, but they do bring out a few good points that I wanted to touch in. I wanted to go into and comment on, if anything, and go to show you that this is one of our customs that we had in the past. The Most High has put forth, and as with all things that the Most High has pop off within this world, okay, in terms of the law, there's usually a good, if not great reason for it. Okay, and this is gonna be a video on that, and maybe in the future I'll do videos like this. Maybe the Land Sabbath, and then you'll see. Maybe I'll get a few articles regarding the Lamb Sabbath and the benefits of that. Swine, pork, how you shouldn't be eating pork and why it's in our law. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, we know through the scriptures, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding. So when you begin to fear the Lord and you keep His ordinances, and then you actually check out the science behind the orders that He pushes forth out there, then there's usually a great scientific reason for it. And this is one of those topics, man. This is one of those examples. Okay, so we start first and foremost within the law, in the book of Leviticus 12 and 3. It says, in the 8th day, right? So let's go to the second verse. And it says, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman conceive a seed, all right, which is she gets popped and she gets pregnant, right, and born a man child, she gets pregnant, she gets a child, and it's a boy, then shall thou be unclean for 7 days according to the law of separation. For the infirmity shall be unclean, and in the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. And we go into this word circumcised. Shall be cut off, basically. He was going to take off the foreskin. So, I mean, pretty much that's self-explanatory. But here's some interesting, so-called scientific research they have done, right, regarding this, circumcision. Okay, and I thought it would be, pretty decent to do a video on. Okay, pretty decent material to go into. So it says, whether you call it a penis skirt, okay, or a banana hat, a worm in a turtleneck, like full sleeve, or what the more and more American men are sporting it, right? It's the foreskin, right? The fold of skin that surrounds the penis head on uncircumcised men. Okay, and that's because the fear of the Lord within this so-called Christian empire that is Rome, the resurgence of Rome, really they ain't know nothing biblical about it, man. Okay, because if this was a so-called God-fearing nation and countries, Britain included in that, where we stay at, then these people will be practicing a law called circumcision. Okay, and as you're gonna see here, the Most High just didn't put that in there just so you can make babies cry. Okay, when they're 8 years old, right? But rather the Most High put it in there, okay, with good reason. And this is gonna be some of the good reasons, just a few of the good reasons why it was put forth into play. Okay, there's also a thing called penile cancer. Okay, you get that a lot amidst them Asians, the Moabites, because they don't practice a thing of circumcision. okay, which is an important part of our culture. Matter of fact, that was one of the first things that was put forth. Okay, I believe when the covenant was set up. I have to really dig out the history to clarify that point. But I believe that was one of the first things that made it to where we was Israelites. And if you check out what Antiochus did, okay, when the Greeks came to start Hellenizing the Israelites, one of the first things he did was said, look, make it to where you don't circumcise your children anymore, man. That's one of the things that he first did. So it's an important part of our culture, okay, because it's a lifelong commitment. Once it's done, it can't be undone. And you can go through certain things, surgical procedures to undo it, but ultimately, that's just it's not proper, if you know what I mean. It's not natural. Okay, so it says here, if you've yet come across, and this is, you have to excuse me, this is really with respect to these bitches, man. But it's just gonna have to forbear, innit? So it says, if you have come across a man's junk, all right, before the sniff, then you might soon. So this is, and that goes to show you this world is freaky, man. This is some freaky, society, man. But this is supposed to be a women's health, okay? This is supposed to be a website about women's health, and they're basically saying, man, just go out there and be a freak, and you're gonna come across all of these different variations of individuals, man. This is a freaky society. But with the purposes of doing this video and showing you the importance of circumcision, I'll forbear. It says, in part due to the decrease in insurance coverage of the procedure, circumcision rates within the United States have dropped from 79% to 55%. So about half of these dudes that are getting born out here, of which we know a large proportion of the people out there in America is Israelites, there's a large proportion of them that are not being born circumcised. And that was an important part of our culture. That's an important part of who we are as Israelites. Matter of fact, when you come into this thing and you want to observe the Passover, it's highly recommended you do that. You get circumcised before the Passover so you can receive that of the blessing. Okay, now, I believe you can still partake in the Passover if you're uncircumcised, but I believe you can't partake in the blessing. So as we're coming towards Passover again, if any of you brothers out there recently joined the camp, or you've come into this word and you're about to join a camp, or the fire within you is burning bright, then it will be highly recommended that you get yourself the snip. And also too, you're gonna get all of these health benefits that's gonna come as a result of that, and as a result of embracing your culture, man. Okay, and it says that because the studies have shown uncircumcised men are more likely to contract sexually transmitted infections, the lower circumcision rates has led to a greater risk and a higher associated healthcare costs of all. So, and that's how you know this man's the devil, because they didn't do this in terms of saving money, because they actually lose money on a greater run. That's what this last paragraph was actually talking about. They're saying there's a greater risk of STDs or STIs, okay, because the rate of circumcision has dropped so significantly, okay. But it's going to cost the healthcare system a greater deal more in the future. Now, what that goes to show you that is they are actually doing it, okay, against you Israelites who, by law and by culture and by heritage, are supposed to be circumcised, okay. And that all goes back onto what they had set up out there, during the Greco-Roman times. Now, when they so-called was Christians and they was all deep, these Edomites, that is, when they was all deep into so-called following, because you got to remember the first Christians were what? They was immediate, well, not the first Christians, but rather the when they was enslaving the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and bringing them from Spain, okay, into the Americas to serve as slaves. Those were Christians that was doing that. Christopher Columbus was a Christian. Okay, that's why we ain't adhering, and that's why we have woken up to that Christian philosophy. And part of that Christian philosophy was what? They would have their children circumcised. As you've seen, it was supported within the U.S. as part of the insurance package. Okay, but as you see this truth coming out and us actually saying you're supposed to be circumcised, but you really don't want to, you really want to run away from that Christian society, and you want to run to the truth, which is going to be spoken about here at Great Millstone, which we have. Okay, they flipped the script and now they're reducing that. Okay, of which, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do in it. You gotta get your snip. You can't get it on the healthcare system. You gotta save up your money and you gotta do it. And if you need a good doctor, I got the number two. Okay, so it says, in fact, if circumcision rates continue to fall to 10%, okay, the average in Europe, where the procedure is typically not covered by the insurance, the annual net increase in the U.S. health costs could reach $500 million, right, dollars a year, which is a hell of a lot of money, man. Okay, but they will rather do that than have it to where you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans who are waking up to be Israelites, just get the free part of the covenant, man. They'll have you work for that. Okay, so it says, how does such a little bit of extra meat or extra skin, right, wreak such havoc on uncircumcised men and their partners? It says the tissue under the foreskin, which sits against the uncircumcised penis, is very delicate and therefore vulnerable to micro tears and abrasion, especially during our sexual activity. Okay, it says the organisms that cause STIs, right, can accumulate under the foreskin of the penis, and this may allow them to survive for longer and reduce potentially increased and reproduce, potentially increasing the risk of infection, right, within the partners. Okay, like again, you have to bear. This is written with with the essence of sexually liberating these holes. Okay, but I use this article for and that's on the left hand, but for the right hand purposes, is to show you that this thing of circumcision is an important part of our culture and an important part of your health. Okay, it says organisms that cause STIs can accumulate under the foreskin of the penis, and this may allow them to survive longer and reduce potentially increasing the risk of infection in that of the male, a male and his partner. And that's from the doctor and the director of medical services at Planned Parenthood, which we all know all about that as well. It says, moreover, the study suggests that the foreskin contains more cells that are targeted by HIV virus. Okay, it says regardless of the risks, there's no need to kick. And then they go back into liberating these women again. But you can see pretty much, man, a lot of these so-called from this, what is suggested by this article. Okay, I would if I had the time, I would have some corroborating evidence and some corroborating material to go with this. But I mean, I'll just go for this for the time being. If a brother wants to go into this exhaustively, you have my blessing to do that. Okay, but pretty much you can see, this was not only just an important part of our culture. This was an important part of health, because you will have a man that will have a multitude of women. And as you're, moving through, your harem or whatever, okay, you're gonna be keeping a lot of bacteria within that part of your within the foreskin, man, which was gonna lead to you spreading diseases within those women that you had, and potentially your kids. Now, it wouldn't be a disease within the community, because we know that there's a law of an adultery within our laws. Okay, so that's an important part of it too. So another uncircumcised heathen ain't gonna put what do you call it, infections as into your circle, man. Okay, that's why these laws were here, man. And as we're going back into our heritage, it's an important to adhere to those laws, because you can't just partake in the good bits of it. Okay, here it is, you set up your harem out here in Babylon. Okay, and then you're transmitting all kind of diseases and that, because you didn't partake of a law of circumcision, because you was picking and choosing. Okay, but I mean, it's just a quick video. Okay, quick hit. Okay, it's part of our laws, part of our custom. Okay, so I'd advocate you to do it. So that I'm gonna say, all praise unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahshai, double honor to the apostles of great millstone, honest you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.